Tonight, dozens gathered in honor of a Fayette County teenager. 18-year-old Jeremiah McCray was shot after an argument inside a home on Allenwood Road. Atlanta News First reporter Yasmina Alston live at McCurry Park. Yasmina, Jeremiah's loved ones remembering him tonight.
Carly, that's right. Jeremiah's family, his friends, his classmates, even teachers gathered here at the park to release balloons and also to share their stories about the teen. But his family is still pushing for more answers as to what happened inside of that house.
We all know Jeremiah had a good heart.
Friends, teammates, teachers, and family came together Sunday in Fayetteville. They shared stories and wrote messages in honor of Jeremiah McCray.
He was funny. He was caring. He was gentle. He was understanding.
The 18-year-old was killed on Thursday at a home on Allenwood Road. Fayette County Sheriff's Office says the teen was shot after a dispute with his girlfriend's brother. According to officials, McCray confronted the brother, who lived at the house, with an AR-15 style weapon. They say the brother fired his own weapon, hitting McCray. But McCray's family told Atlanta News First there's more to the story, and they want police to investigate further. Meanwhile, his loved ones remember someone who they say had the biggest heart.
He was selfless. He was always there for me. He saved me at one point. I was like, I wish I could have saved him. We love you,
And Jeremiah's family was not yet ready to speak publicly about what happened. The Fayette County Sheriff's Office says they are not releasing any additional information right now. Live in Fayetteville, Yasmina Alston, Atlanta News First.
Yasmina, thank you for that live report.